Got my co-pilot right here on summer break.
It took a long time to do the video, Dad.
Really? Thanks a lot for your support, man. That's the real star of the show right there.
So you've made the decision to move around Texas, whether that's Dallas, Austin, Fort Worth, Houston, or San Antonio. There are multiple offers on the house that you want, and you're trying to figure out how to win the bidding war. You want to win without paying $50K above asking price, naming your next kid after the seller, or losing all your dignity by writing a love letter to the seller in hopes to sweep them away with how much you're in love with their house. The good news is it is possible to win a bidding war without taking all of these extra steps, which can be reassuring financially, and maybe you can name your next kid whatever the hell you want to name them. How's that for an idea? In this video, we'll be covering how to win a real estate bidding war in Texas. At the time of making this video, I've been creating YouTube videos for 3 months covering North Texas real estate and the lifestyle here. And this is definitely my most important video yet. I promise you, you'll want to watch every one of these tips, especially as the video progresses, because I'll be sharing some tips that most realtors don't share publicly, we keep close to our chest so that we can continue winning these bidding wars. However, this channel's real goal is to provide real value and substance to anyone looking to purchase or sell a home in Texas, so I gotta stay true to that, even if it's at the cost of another realtor stealing some of my playbook. My name is Mike Harrison, licensed realtor in the Dallas, Texas area, covering all of DFW and North Texas. Let's go ahead and dive into the strategies and tactics that will help you win an offer on your next house. All right, tip number 1, for starters, make sure you are already pre-approved. This may sound very basic to some of you, so we won't spend a lot of time on it. But before we move into the juicier tactics, it's worth ensuring that everyone knows that to be taken seriously as a buyer, you must first be pre-approved to show the market that you can financially afford the home. Becoming pre-approved is a process that normally just takes 24 hours with a lender. They're gonna check your credit and you'll provide them with your income, usually over the last 2 years, bank statements showing how much cash you have available to close to cover down payment and potential closing costs, major debts, whether that's a car payment, credit card, if you already own a home, and so forth. This helps a lender determine your debt to income ratios, and then also current assets. After the lender has time to analyze this, they'll then be able to determine your budget and provide that in a pre-approval letter. You're gonna need this pre-approval letter to be considered a serious buyer with any offer you make on a home. When it comes to choosing a lender, here are a couple very important things that you must know. For starters, you can choose whoever you want as a lender. As realtors, we may have our preferred lending partners because of successful experiences with that lender in the past, but at the end of the day, you, the client, can choose whoever you want as a lender. None of that if you want to work with me, you have to choose this lender BS. Next, speaking as a realtor and a buyer myself, it's usually a best practice to work with a lender that's very familiar with the market you're shopping in. There's a national housing market, a state housing market, and then local housing markets. I wouldn't be the best realtor in Austin, Texas, because I'm not in that market every day, looking at that data, speaking with other locals in the area, and so forth. Austin is several hours away from me. In my opinion, it's the same with lenders. It makes sense that you work with a lender that is up to date on all the latest economic factors impacting your local housing market. Not to mention, it's nice to have an actual relationship with a local lender that knows you versus being a data point for a lender with a 1-800 number. And here's some quick insight on lenders. When representing a seller, many of us listing agents will call the lender after a buyer's agent has sent an offer in for their client. It's part of our due diligence process. And don't get it twisted. If the lender is hard to get a hold of, not returning calls, or has been known to not close on time in the past, do you think a listing agent is going to feel comfortable telling their seller they feel confident in accepting that offer? Real talk. For tip number 2, let's make sure we understand the rules of the game and play it better than anyone else. In other words, let's make sure we identify leverage. The game is won before it's ever even played. Please make sure you understand market dynamics, whether that's with your agent sharing updates about the market with you over time or you're doing your own research. Things you must consider about a home you're after. How many days has that home been on the market? How many other homes are in that price range in the market as well? What are the current interest rates? Is there a feature particularly unusual about this home that makes it stand out above the rest? What is the latest jobs report? One of the most important dynamics to understand is, what's the seller's hurt spot? Have you heard from other locals in town there are many people in that neighborhood needing to go back to a headquarters office, hearing complaints about the commute back to work? And unfortunately, this happens way too often, but are the owners of that home separating or divorcing? In other words, do they have a lifestyle gap they need to solve? a financial gap, or are they considering retiring and downsizing? Identifying these leverage points will help you play chess better when it comes to writing your offer, which we're going to get to in a minute. Next, this is where you as the client need to personally evaluate your buyer's agent overall skill set, not just how good they look on a business card or how many followers they have on social media. For tip number 3, your buyer's agent needs to sell themselves as a good partner in the transaction. I highly recommend you personally evaluate the following characteristics of your potential buyer's agent. Your agent must demonstrate responsiveness. They must be organized. They must be professional and polite, and they must have a high degree of engagement and follow-up. As agents, when representing sellers, we know we're about to enter a 25 to 35-day relationship with a buyer's agent and the buyer's preferred lender. A real estate transaction is a project with deadlines, action items due, and so your listing agent and buyer's agent are basically project managers together in that transaction. Just like a buyer's agent is responsible for representing your best interest as a buyer, that listing agent is responsible for representing that seller's best interest. If your agent is giving signals to the listing agent that are alarming to them, do you really think that they're going to vouch for your offer when they present it to their seller? Purchase price is generally a huge factor, but there are times it's not the main factor. So evaluate your agent's responsiveness. How long does it normally take your agent to respond to you? You can anticipate they likely take that long to respond to a listing agent, which is incredibly annoying and ineffective if they're trying to help you get a deal accepted. And also, does your agent appear organized? What if it's in the seller's best interest to have a quick close so they can relocate out of state for a new job? If your agent doesn't show that they're organized, they're going to signal a concern that a survey hasn't been ordered, that the appraisal has a slow turnaround, and that closing may be delayed. Is your agent professional and polite? What if the seller's health is a major factor and the buyer's agent is just unprofessional and horrible to work with right off the bat? Do you really think that listing agent is going to go to their seller and be like, hey, this buyer and buyer's agent are a pleasure to work with. It's a stress-free transaction?
No.
There's no action plan for being nice. It's simple. Be professional, be polite. Next, does your agent show a high degree of engagement in the market, and do they consistently follow up with you? One of my listings is in Van Austin for $499,000. I had several agents tell me on the second weekend of it being on the market, their clients would like to submit an offer. They just needed to contact their lender or HOA committee of my listing, and they'd get back to me on the following Monday. Well, in this scenario, agents need to make sure they are following up with the listing agent on Sunday and first thing Monday morning to assure the listing agent that their clients still want to make an offer. They just still need that extra time to talk to the lender or HOA committee. I didn't hear from those agents at all from that Saturday until Monday evening at 5 p.m. Meanwhile, another agent came in, called to discuss what they were thinking. We danced a little bit on the terms. They submit an offer. They then follow up to ensure receipt of the offer, then followed up again to assure us this home was great for their clients, and so on. It's not the best look for a listing agent to follow up with a buyer's agent to see if their buyers are still interested. It shows desperation for an offer and it hurts the seller's leverage, especially on a weekend where there's good weather and good showing activity. Had the original agents just followed up with us on Sunday or Monday, assured us they still had something coming in, my seller and I would have likely waited so that they could present their offer. Now that we've finished that rant, let's move on to the actual X's and O's of an offer that's going to position you to win without going above asking price. This is incredibly important. For starters, let's start with the basic terms of a Texas contract. You have purchase price. Next, you have the option period. The standard option period in Texas is 7 days, and this is the unrestricted right to walk away in Texas. This period is usually whenever you complete your home inspections and complete your due diligence process. However, regardless of the home inspections and repair request, you can literally walk away because it's Tuesday in Texas during this option period. In other words, on a $500,000 home, the buyer is controlling a $500,000 asset with the unrestricted right to walk away during this period, and it's counting as days on market for the seller, whether you move forward or not with the transaction. Next, you have the option fee. The option fee is obviously paying for the option period. The standard in Texas is between $100 and $200. This is applied towards your cash to close if you close, and it's non-refundable if you walk away. Another term is the title company, or where you're closing at. Another major negotiating term is going to be the amount of earnest money. Standard in Texas is 1%. This is money that's held by the title company and paid within the first 3 days of the contract and shows that you're serious with some teeth in the game. This is applied towards your cash to close, fully refundable if you back out during the option period or if the contract falls through and it's the seller's fault. Another negotiating term is who's paying for the title policy and who's paying for the survey. A major negotiating term is the seller concessions towards the buyer's closing cost and also a seller credit towards the first-year home warranty if there is any requested. One of our last terms is how fast you can close. And then lastly, sometimes there's a leaseback negotiated. In a situation where there are multiple offers, it's first important that you have a conventional pre-approval. Why? Although an FHA loan is a great loan product, a conventional loan is going to offer the most assurance to your prospective sellers. It puts you in the best position to win because it signals less red tape in the transaction to the seller than an FHA offer. An FHA loan is going to require that the home's 5 major systems are inspected by an FHA inspector. Good protection for the buyer, but a seller may not want to risk the headache even if their 5 major systems are in good condition. Remember, this is in a multiple offer scenario, not one where the only offer on the table is an FHA offer. As listing agents, we do communicate these dynamics to the seller. Now, let's go ahead and put together a hypothetical $500,000 listing and compare 2 offers. Both offers will be conventionally pre-approved and close at the same title company. Our first offer offers the full $500,000 asking price, a 7-day option period, a $100 option fee, 1% earnest money, so $5,000. The seller's paying for the title policy and the buyer's paying for the survey, $3,000 in seller concessions, a $650 first-year warranty credit, and closing in 30 days. In this scenario, before title policy and commissions, the seller nets $496,350 because we provided a $3,000 seller credit towards the buyer's closing cost, as well as $650 in a first-year warranty credit. This first agent made no phone call to identify any leverage opportunities here, but for the second offer, that agent had a great phone call with a listing agent and found out that the seller wants a good purchase price, but definitely wants somebody that's going to close and shows that they really want this home. Our second offer came in at a $495,000 purchase price, a 3-day option period, $500 option fee, 2% earnest money, so $10,000. Remember, this is money you're spending anyway in 30 days. You're just spending it sooner. The seller is paying title and the buyer is paying for the survey. 0 seller concessions, but they still want that $650 first-year warranty credit. In this offer, before title policy and commissions, the seller nets $494,350. The difference between the 2 offers for the seller is $2,000 in favor of option 1. However, in favor of option 2, as a seller, you are basically controlling the marketability and showing of my home and keeping me on pins and needles for only 3 days. So I know you aren't fooling around. You and your agent are moving very fast. You offered me 5 times the assurance and the option fee at $500, so I get to keep that if you walk away in 3 days, and you doubled your earnest money compared to option 1. Again, offering me lots of assurance you really want this home. If you go back to our tips earlier, it's very important the buyer's agent identifies the seller's hurt spot. It's part of what they're getting paid to do. In this scenario, the seller wanted strong assurance that the buyer wanted to close, and they had some wiggle room on purchase price. A $2,000 difference in net profit isn't always the biggest deal for a seller, as long as the buyer's agent for option 2 has sold themselves as a great teammate in the transaction, sold how solid of a buyer you are and how badly you want the home, and it certainly isn't always worth it for their house to be on the market for an extra 4 days during the option period. That option period is key for the buyer's agent to move fast and have a Rolodex of inspectors lined up ready to turn around the inspection quickly for you. It's also a key term for you as a buyer to show strong assurance that you're serious about this home, that there's no fooling around going on. Hell, as a last case scenario, there have been multiple times that I've offered to lower my commission when representing a buyer so the seller nets more and it puts my buyer in a better position to win that deal as well. This is a very basic scenario in comparison between 2 offers. Sometimes the difference is maybe even $5,000, and sometimes it's only $500. In 2022, my clients won a multiple offer scenario at $799,000, and we beat offers at $870,000 using similar tactics we've discussed here. Lastly, just to put a cherry on top to win the bidding war, it always helps to have your lender make a post-offer call to the listing agent. This call usually isn't that extensive. It's just a courtesy call for the lender to make an introduction and then sell themselves as a team that's going to close on time, be organized throughout the transaction, and ensure all parties leave satisfied. Good lenders are going to proactively call the listing agent and inform them what information they have verified on the buyer's profile and assure the listing agent that the buyer is good to go. My preferred lenders call on behalf of our buyers, and as a listing agent, it's always been impressive to me when a lender calls me and does the same. This is the cherry on top. So guys, this is going to close us out on how to win a real estate bidding war in Texas. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. Go ahead and subscribe, support the channel, and if you want to know more about a great North Texas suburb so you can use some of these strategies, go ahead and click here and check out this video.